Hey guys, I figured it was time to do an update on that 20,000 milliliter lab flask opae tank I was intending to set up. As you can see, I was largely successful. The footage you're looking at is about 2 weeks old at this time. Basically, the timeline of events was around the end of April, I got the flask and then put a bunch of food, shrimp food, and Chaeto algae from a local marine fish store in the bottom, and just let it cycle for about a month. And then I got some zebra nerites from another pet store and threw two of those in there and let them do their thing for about I'd say another week and a half. You can see one climbing up the back wall of the tank there. At first they were acting a little bit weird. I don't think the water parameters were just right. Also, I think they were coming from a freshwater tank, and I did acclimatize them a bit. It was probably a bit too fast. Anyway, they pulled through. They were fine. And then about a week later, I got two more nerites. I got those bumblebee nerites with the weird spikes off the side of their shell. I don't know if any of them are going to appear in this footage. I haven't actually watched it yet. I'm recording this audio as I'm watching the footage. Anyway, so yeah, I let the nerites sit in the tank and cycle further for, I'd say, 3 weeks or so. And when they started acting healthy and normal, I decided it was time to add my opae in. So I basically just pulled all the coral rock and stuff out of the previous tank using some really long tongs that I had ordered a few years ago, actually. And then I just sort of dumped them out into a bucket. It was probably the least sophisticated method of getting them out, but it was the only method I could think of. I actually ended up losing two in the process. It wasn't great. I was pretty sad about that because, they live forever, and it sucks to kill something that can live for 20 years, Anyway, I ordered 15 more as well. I figured why not? The tank is so big compared to the previous one, so I think there's about 30 in here now. Unfortunately, they're not all bright red. Some of them are actually like completely translucent, but I guess that's kind of cool in its own way. Anyway, some of the stuff you're seeing in here now is coral rock from the previous one, so it already had a little bit of algae growing on it. So I think that will further help seed the water and the other materials in here. Let's see, what else? Yeah, so I haven't actually had any eggs yet, which is kind of depressing, but I will say that they are molting at a much higher rate than they did in the previous one. I mean, like previously you'd maybe see one molt, once every few months or so, and now I'm seeing like multiple molts per week, so I'm hoping that will lead to more opae quickly. Yeah, so another interesting topic is the Chaeto. There's actually two different kinds of Chaeto in there. There's the initial Chaeto. I pulled most of it out, but a few threads remained when I pulled the bulk of it out. And what remains actually seems to be doing perfectly fine at this lower brackish salinity. I was kind of surprised to see that. I mean, it's growing. And then I actually picked up another variety from the opae supplier who sold it as like a low salinity Chaeto algae, and yeah, they're both doing fine. I might actually have to trim it back or pull some out at some point, which isn't, I guess, terrible in terms of pulling nutrients out over time to avoid any sort of I guess like crashes in the system. But yeah, so everything's going good. In terms of the flask itself, I will say I'm less happy with it than I thought I'd be, in the sense that it is, while it works, it's holding probably like 60 pounds of water successfully. The optics aren't as good as I was hoping. I mean, there's certain angles that when you look at it, it's fine. Like this, for example, looks great, but other angles, the glass is sort of like warped and bent and has defects in it. Like you can tell where they placed it on a rack for the annealing process, for example. It's not perfectly round. It has some flat spots and stuff, but for the price, 180, I guess it's worth it. I mean, I didn't want to have something like a biorb with a hole in the bottom. I wasn't sure how I'd seal that, like maybe epoxy or something, but who knows? The epoxy can leach over time. I'm setting something up that's conceivably going to be, in here for ideally decades. We'll see. um, but yeah, I think I will do another update if I see babies or something. I will say one other thing that concerns me is when you look at the water column in the dark using a flashlight, you can see that there are sort of just larger than microscopic organisms living in the water. I mean, I don't know if they're cyclops or other near microscopic crustaceans. I don't think they cause any issues, but I have wondered, like, maybe they're attacking like the eggs so they can't develop or something like that, and maybe that's why I'm not seeing eggs, period. I don't know. But chances are, as long as I keep feeding them more, and with this larger volume, I should probably be successful. Anyway, wish me luck. Have a good one.